You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Who doesn't love a little bonus content? Alex, Clancy, Brack, Locked On Cardinals. That's what we're here for. Thank you to everybody. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Following us on Twitter. Brack, follow me at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. We are about 72 hours away from Thursday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers and company coming to town stadium to take on the Arizona Cardinals, the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. They may be without wide receiver one, Davante Adams. Now, he was placed on the COVID reserve list. He still needs to get 2 negative tests before he can play football on Thursday. Bo, with 24 hours in between them. Bo, what does this mean for the defensive scheme that the Cardinals are going to put out, or does it change nothing of how they're going to approach this game?
No, I think it changes a ton. I mean, this is an Arizona Cardinals team where they're not going to have to face an offense without their best weapon. And Davante Adams is absolutely that. I mean, it's taking away from the fans being able to see two of the best wide receivers on both sides, both teams, and DeAndre Hopkins and Davante Adams. But man, it changes a lot for Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't completely count them out. Obviously, if you got number 12 on the field, you've got a chance. But man, I mean, as far as what the Packers are going to have to do on offense, it's going to come down to the two Aarons. It's going to be Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers. Other than that, they don't have much as far as notable names that can consistently produce.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of running the ball for sure. And what we saw in Cleveland was the Cardinals can stop the run when they need to. Kept Cleveland down. Obviously, Nick Chubb was out, but before Kareem Hunt got hurt, he was pretty much a non-factor in the run game. Houston, you can kind of just skip that because their team's a mess offensively. But Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are going to be two guys you're just going to have to stop. You're going to have to bracket. Robert Tonyan is fine. MVS, Marcos Valdes-Scantling, is a deep threat. And Allen Lazard would be a great wide receiver too somewhere else. I don't know why he's not given more opportunity. We'll talk to Peter Bukowski of Locked On Packers ahead of Thursday's game to get a little more in depth about that. And then, Fountain of Youth, Randall Cobb, he's probably going to be featured a lot in this game if Davante Adams is out. He can still run good routes. I mean, he's still a threat in some capacity, but you're right. I mean, I would love to see Byron Murphy versus Davante Adams. You want to play the best. I mean, but little wrinkles like this, once again, I've talked about this a lot during the season. When teams go on magical runs, little wrinkles like this happen. And you don't wish upon this for anybody on the planet. But it just so happens Davante Adams on the COVID list ahead of Thursday's game against the Cardinals.
I mean, it's going to give people who are hating on the Cardinals and their 7-0 start and say it's a cupcake, walk to an undefeated start to the season. But they still won, and they've won impressively each and every week outside of the Minnesota Vikings game where they were gifted one. And sometimes, a lot of times, in kind of talking like you are with this special, when special seasons happen, you have to be lucky as well. And they were lucky in week 2. But, going up against this offense, you can't count out Aaron Rodgers, can't count out Aaron Jones. There's still wide receivers that are fully capable of making plays in this offense, but you take away the most consistent guy, and that's the key. It's not going to be a relentless attack of number 17 going against Byron Murphy or whoever is going to keep tabs on him in coverage. You're not going to have to face that. I mean, what the numbers that are coming off of, and you're not going to see in Thursday Night Football, are pretty absurd what Davante Adams does, especially in the red zone. And the Arizona Cardinals' job on the defensive end became exponentially easier. Not to say they're going to just coast and you can just Sharpie in this W, but it's going to make things hard for the Packers, who I think, on the road on a short week. The Arizona Cardinals dealt with this, Alex, but they didn't have to do it on a short week. Like, they knew about Chandler Jones early on. Zach Allen then kind of followed suit. Both those guys were turning the lineup, by the way. And then Cliff Kingsbury was kind of at the end, the tail end, and that was where they really had to scramble. But this is on a short week, and it's not MVS. It's not Randall Cobb. It's their number one stud wide receiver out of the lineup.
Yeah, and you mentioned the red zone targets. One of my favorite stats from last year to talk about was that Davante Adams had more red zone receptions than DeAndre Hopkins had targets. They find him in the red zone. They get him. I mean, they get him in the end zone, and he scores touchdowns, especially down near the goal line. On the other side, you mentioned that Chandler Jones and Zach Allen have both been activated. Zach Allen was severely missed on the interior of the defensive line. What does this mean for this defense going into Thursday night? Is this going to be you're going to blitz the hell out of Aaron Rodgers? I mean, is this going to be you're going to get him out of his kitchen and just, you rely on your secondary now to cover?
Yeah.
And then with Davante Adams out, I mean, is this a blitz all night scenario with Davante Adams on the shelf?
Yeah, why not? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is in a young buck. I know we've seen him. He's running in the end zone. He's yelling, "I own you" to Chicago Bears fans, but he doesn't have that much success against the Arizona Cardinals. He was beaten by Josh Rosen, for God's sake, a couple of years ago in Green Bay. It was the last game for Mike McCarthy.
Chase Edmonds game.
The Chase Edmonds hero game. In Aaron Rodgers, I was looking at it. He's not throwing the ball that deep as far as completions are concerned. He's got like 14 completions over 20 yards or 25 plus, and the Arizona Cardinals are third best in the league as far as not allowing long completions. They've only given up 15 on the season. So, as far as if you want to kind of try to shine up this turd and say that MVS is going to have a big game, I doubt that. I don't think that's going to work in their favor, especially if they can get with Zach Allen and Chandler Jones coming back to this front seven. We're going to really get a good look at what this defense is supposed to look like. And not a lot of teams get really healthy before Thursday Night Football. Arizona Cardinals kind of the exception to that. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. You take it. It's unfortunate, but you take it. That's pretty much where we're at. Anything else? I mean, it was just, we had just recorded the podcast that's rolling out in about 15 minutes. So we just wanted to put a button on this a little bit. Be sure to follow him at Bob Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. YouTube premiering 15 minutes from now. Some good stuff, some takeaways from Sunday's matchup, putting a button on that. Kind of looking at the culture shift here in Phoenix since the start of the season, ever since David Collins was rolling down the fairway with J.J. Watt because he forgot J.J.'s breakfast. And a flat-brimmed, Yeezy-wearing head coach whose seat may be a little bit more scalding than people would have thought midway through the season when they were probably projected to win the Super Bowl, like the 49ers usually are. Alex Clancy, Bo Brock, Locked On Cardinals. That's it for this bonus content, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.